My name is Adrian Ramos, and I am Tater. I am Justin Guerrera, and I am Tater.
I'm Matt Chamberlain, and I'm Tater.
Welcome back, everyone, to the We Are Tater podcast. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Freddie.
I'm Manny Cruz, and we are Tater.
So this is going to be a great episode. I think I say that every time, but this one is dope because Manny is one of our best friends as well, and he was with us since we started. Literally the first couple bats that we made, Manny was the one using them.
Our first from like amateur player to pro, right?
Yeah, from college, from my second year of college through my entire pro career and the rest of my baseball career after that.
So I'll give a brief synopsis on Manny. Manny is from Waterbury, just like us. We grew up together. We played together. You know, our families are as tight knit as they could be. And Manny went to Wilby and Wolcott High School. Got drafted by the Reds outside of high school, but decided to go to Southern New Hampshire after for college years and absolutely tore it up. And got signed again by the Reds his junior year. So this guy's done it all. He's had experiences left and right, like pro ball, indie ball, different leagues. Shit.
A little bit of everything.
Everything, man.
Yeah, I know, and we appreciate Manny because he's been one of those guinea pigs that really gave us the feedback we needed, just like, you know, guys like Christian and other players. Where I still remember the first glove we gave Manny, and I was like, I'm going to give this to Manny. I know this is not the greatest glove, but I'm going to tell him it's the greatest glove.
Hey, that glove's still kicking, though. That glove is still kicking. One of my nephews is actually using it right now, playing baseball. So it's one of his first gloves.
So Manny was the first pro guy that used Tater. So Manny got drafted the year after we started a company in 2016, right? It was the year you got drafted. Yeah. So he's tried everything. And I remember, I'll just talk about the gloves. That day when the gloves came in, we were so happy. It was the first batch of gloves. Like, we get the box to the house. We're like, I'm like, Manny, all the gloves came in, like mine, yours, because I was still playing at the time, Tristan's glove. And I look at them all, I'm like, Manny's is the worst one.
And it was the most important glove.
I use it, though. I definitely used it. It didn't last too long. But, I mean, that's just looking at this glove sitting here in front of me. You know, it's kind of crazy to think about how we've moved so far with all these gloves, all these equipment, you know, it's crazy. I mean, all the gloves you guys have made me, 3-4 gloves, you know, and I've used them all until you can't use them anymore. And like I said, some of them are still even
There's
being
one that's
used.
not even broken in.
Yeah, I got one I've been trying to break in for 2 years, and it won't get soft for me. So when that one's ready, if someone wants it, I got it.
You remember those days where we had you using all these different bats in the cage in the back of the house?
Yeah, it was like you said, a guinea pig. You know, your dad, I feel like it was like every other week he'd come up to me and throw me a bat that had no paint on it, no label on it, just raw, almost right off the machine. And he'd be like, hey, I got something I need you to try. I got a training bat I want you to try. Or we put a new coating on this bat I want you to try. Here, swing this. Check out this knob. You know,
I tried something new.
Literally every I was swinging a different bat every week. I mean, it was awesome though. It was so much fun to be a part of that.
Freddie, call Manny. See if he wants to come over. I got a bat for him.
No, we you got the pocket radar. Charge it up.
Yeah, we gotta get Pops on this to talk about some of those days too.
We definitely do.
Yeah, man. These those days. I still remember like the times we used to go to the where you pull up and we were in the basement and we had boxes on boxes of bats and he'd be like, Manny, I got a bat for you. It's in one of those boxes. You gotta go check it out.
Take me 2 hours to find a bat, digging through all the bats just to find the one that you made me. But I mean, it's crazy to think that we're here doing a podcast, you know, and we used to get together in the basement of your house on the sofa in the living room,
just watching
TV, hanging out all these nights now.
Preparing the bats to paint,
right,
putting ink dots in the basement.
You're right,
on a plastic folding table.
I remember that. I used to come pick up my bats and I'd stay for a little while, help you guys ink dot some bats or whatever you guys needed help with. Yeah.
I still remember when I was in a pinch one time because when we first started at the facility on Aurora Street, I was like, Manny, bro, I have mad work to do. Pops and Freddie are working. I'm I'm screwed. And we were doing Polanco and Marte's bats
Yeah.
and we were broken those together.
Oh yeah, Polanco's and Marte's bats, painting them. I remember you were just handing them to me. I'm over here painting them, asking you what color goes on what sticker do I need to put on this. Yeah, I
Yep.
remember that. I remember that.
Now that reminds me of the time when we invented doing the pine tar bat. And then I had you come in. I was like, man, I need you help me torch these bats.
Yeah, quick crash course lesson. Say, hey, look, you just do it like this. Don't leave it on too long.
Or
You
you
don't want
pop
to
the
burn the
bat.
bat. I'm like, all right. Well, good thing I didn't mess any of them up, I don't think, that day. So
They
that was
came
all
out
right.
great, man. And and I figure, you know what? Let's talk about how you got started with baseball, man. I think, all jokes aside, baseball has been a serious thing for us as it's like our life work pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys, me as well. Baseball, it's hard to think about where I would be, without baseball. Kind of coming from a baseball family. My father got to play D1 ball, got some pro letters, never went because he started a family pretty early. My brother, same deal, playing big-time baseball, and he made it as far as he can make it. And I had cousins from Puerto Rico. Literally everybody in my family at some point has played some sort of competitive or good baseball. So it was almost automatic, to follow suit, even though it was my decision. I was never forced into it. I was never forced to play baseball. But it's kind of like a family thing, it's kind of ran in the blood. I feel like a lot of things that I learned in baseball, I learned them before they were even taught to me. It was kind of a natural thing, know. And with my father knowing what he knows and watching my brother play, I can't even say watching my brother
Shout
play.
out Big Jew.
Yeah, Big Jew, going to all his games.
You're
And
still schooling people right now.
you're right. Still schooling people. It's a bigger ball, smaller bat, but he's still schooling people. That swing is still working. But going to all his games in high school and traveling to go see him play at Avery Point, it was always, it felt like a dream to me, so it was always something to work towards. And baseball's done so much. It's done so much. It's put me in so many good positions in life. It's opened so many doors, so many connections, people that are friends, people that can help me move on in life. It's
crazy,
it's
man.
kind of endless.
How many people that you do baseball stuff with or you play with on one tournament when you're younger, you're friends with them for life. So I think about that too sometimes.
It's almost like global at this point, We've played so much baseball. I got friends in different countries, like it's crazy. It's crazy to think what the game has actually brought to me, and I can't even begin to thank all the people that have helped me throughout the years. And it's been one hell of a ride, and I'm glad it's not over. Now I'm on the other side of the ball. Now I get to teach people. Now I get to, give my experience, give my knowledge. Giving kids what I didn't have. Not saying that like my father and my brother didn't do anything for me, but I didn't have a mid-20s kid who can put all these experiences into perspective for me when I was playing ball, or train me, without being a hard-o and actually understanding that I'm trying to learn and. I need things to work on.
Yeah.
So, it's one thing that I'm forever grateful for is the game of baseball, and that's for sure.
Yeah, it's something like, I feel like, especially our relationship, we lived through a lot together, right? We experienced things like when you first played college, and you were on ESPN and you made that diving play.
Like it was crazy.
And I was like, yo, my boy is on ESPN, let's go.
Yeah.
And even when you reported for your first spring training, man, because it was almost like our first spring training, and we were like living through your experiences, but also like experiencing our own stuff and everything like that. It's just kind of crazy. Every time I still bring you up and people remember you, or people talk about you, and I don't even have to bring you up. You're like, oh, Mr. Tater, Manny Cruz.
Remember when Chamberlain came to the shop and we were like, yeah, Manny was our first pro guy. He goes,
Manny Cruz?
The
serious? The Manny Cruz?
Someone called me the Manny Cruz.
The Manny Cruz.
I appreciate whoever
shout
that
out
is.
Chamberlain.
Yeah,
Chamberlain's playing now. He's with St. Louis. He went to UNH, so he probably played against you. I don't know.
Well, good luck to you, dog. Keep balling.
He's a homie.
Yeah. Let's tell the people, man. What's your favorite? I know there's a lot of Tater stories, but what's one that really sticks out right now? Like, what's your favorite one? There's a couple. I know.
There's so many Tater stories. My favorite Tater story, and honestly, I think it hands down, it has to be the first time that we've ever had a real encounter. You guys, you guys hit me up. We ended up getting some bats made and getting them sent up to me. I think Maya met my dad in
Pops
a
called your
parking lot.
pops. My dad called your dad. Like, yo, Mike,
Yeah.
I made some bats for Manny. And Mike's like, I'm at Bucks Hill Park.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll bring them to him.
Met him at Bucks Hill Park. He brought them all the way up to New Hampshire. I think I used them that night too, you know. And then after the season, I ended up getting a break playing in Nashua, New Hampshire for the Silver Knights. Get to do a little homecoming and come play at Muzzy Field against the Bristol Blues,
classic.
and that was the first time I really got to sit down and talk with you guys. Granted, it was kind of had to sneak you in the back door into the clubhouse, you know, but we got you in there. And I remember not only was it like an experience for us, it was kind of an experience for everybody, because I'm pretty sure there was a couple guys who ended up taking some bats and actually buying bats after that from that clubhouse.
It's funny you bring it up because it was about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks
Right,
ago.
2 weeks ago.
Max Burke came to Tater.
Max
Came to Tater, and he brought up that story.
Yeah, dude.
And Max is still playing right now,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Max is definitely. Max is with the. Is he with the Yankees still? Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
he texted me and he's like, I was like, hey, yeah, my name is Fred. He's like, yeah, I know you.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, from where? He's like,
Muzzy Field.
Muzzy Field.
Yeah, I remember telling you guys that story. I know it was kind of hard to believe, but like all night, that 3.5 hour ride all the way back to New Hampshire, that's all everybody talked about. They were like, dude, you snuck in the bat company through the back door. Like, that was awesome. They had so many nice bats. Like, everybody loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, the bat that I took from you, I didn't even get to use it. Everybody swung it the next day in BP. They were using it in games. Like,
What's funny is that it was the first stadium that we snuck into, and it was the first one I got kicked out of that same day.
And it was not the first or last stadium that we
but-
got kicked out of.
hey, but at least, that must have gave you some insight on how to get into the other stadiums.
I mean, I learned a lot from that. Trust me.
But that was definitely probably one of my favorite moments. I mean, it's kind of what sparked it all, you know? Like, it was really like our first time officially meeting and being able to sit down and talk to each other. And, I mean, it's just been all uphill from there,
Yeah.
you know? It definitely became a tight relationship after all of that.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's something like, I don't know. It's like we made magic for in a way, because it was like people look up to you, and then now they look up to us, and it's like it's kind of one of those things where people associate you with Tater and us with you. And there's kids all around our, in our community right now that we talk about you, and they're like, they look up to you, and they may not say it like to you directly, but you're like an idol to them, because it's like, how many people from Waterbury, Connecticut end up playing pro baseball, right? And it's kind of like a big accomplishment, because most people don't play varsity high school, they don't play college, they don't make it to pro ball.
We put up
Right.
the numbers.
So, it's something that
I mean, that was definitely a part of, like we were talking about earlier, like what got you started in baseball. Like, that was definitely a part of it, you know, coming from an area where, like I said, my family is big time background in baseball. But I mean, we all know in our area, baseball is not really a predominant sport. You know, most of your athletes don't even step onto the baseball field. So you can never even find out or see the possibilities of athletes that can come out of our area, because it's just not a sport that's played that much. So it was definitely one of the things always in the back of my head, you know, let's be, you know, I've gone to high school. In my high school, we always talk about Ryan Gomes. Ryan Gomes made it to the NBA. You know, we talk about all these guys play D1 basketball, guys make it D1 football, guys get to play pro football. You never hear about a baseball player, you know, and it was always kind of like, you know, let's be that first guy, you know, let's break that chain. Let's try and make something, you know, something new, something that nobody's heard of before. So it was always a goal. I mean, and it was always my dad too. He always supported me all the way through it. He always gave me these steps one by one. You know, we got in there our freshman year. He's like, you know what, let's just try to make the all-city team this year. And we put in the work. And we made more than that, you know. And the next year we had another goal on to that, and we had another goal on to that. And by the time it was my senior year, we've accomplished so much that I remember him specifically telling me, he was like, why don't you just try to get drafted? You know, like, why not? Let's put in all the work we possibly can. What's the worst thing that can happen? You have a better year and you don't get drafted, you know, and you end up going to college. And it was just that kind of, you know, that hunger, that excitement to have something from our area that hasn't really been done before or you don't hear of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And That was one of the big motivators into how my baseball career ended up panning out.
Why couldn't you tell that story for the Tater Kong podcast? Because that's literally the brand itself, everything you just said.
Yeah, literally.
All the sacrifices you got to make, you know, and people don't think of them too. It's like you kind of overlook the sacrifices you have to do, you know, waking up early, taking grounders, having Julian play first base as you throw the ball across the diamond or whatever it may be.
Missing activities, missing things to do with your friends, all that stuff. You know, you're right. It's a lot of sacrifices. And I mean, I feel like it's weird to say it, but I was almost like so locked in that it was hard to think about it back then.
Right.
As me sacrificing and
Just
missing
normal. It was
things.
just normal.
Yeah, it was kind of just normal. It was kind of like my getaway, you know, like it was fun. I always looked forward to that chance to go and practice, that chance to go take ground balls, or that hour that I had in between studying and homework to go take some swings outside. Or
Yeah.
I mean, even days that I couldn't work out, my dad used to be so mad at me because we had the screen door in front of the house, and I used to beat that thing up because I took super balls and I'd throw them off the front steps and try to field ground balls. And every once in a while I'd miss and I'd hit the screen door and it was just dents all
everywhere.
over it, you know? Like that was fun for me. It was always like a release,
Yeah.
you know, to go and do something that had to do with baseball coming from where we were from.
You know what we got to talk to the people about? The shirt you're wearing right now.
Oh, man.
The classic Hustle
shirt.
tee. That's a 2015,
It's
2016
definitely-
classic.
This is definitely one of the first shirts. I mean, this was another one of the things I had to dig through your basement for when I first got here. I remember that whole shipment of shirts. We had gray Hustle shirts, green Hustle shirts, a bunch of shirts came in. I remember that.
Those are legitimately the first official Tater t-shirts.
I got them
Ever.
all. Every single one. I mean, thank you to you guys for that, but I got them all. I was looking through them today trying to figure out which one to put
You have
on.
more shirts than me.
I was just gonna say that, man. I'd find it hard to believe if there was someone out there
No.
with more Tater gear besides you guys than me, because I literally it's falling out of my cabinets and my dresser. There's no way.
Literally the day that happened when he left, I was like, I literally don't even have a shirt for myself.
There's definitely been a couple times where you hand me a shirt and you give me a serious look and you're like, I don't even have one of these, so you better be happy.
Yeah.
Man, you were like the first for a lot of things. You were the first for when we first sprayed a bat, right? Because when we started bats, we didn't know how to do the painting process. We talked about in episode 1. We called Mark. Mark helped us out, and he sprayed the bat. And then we did the first cherry bat, which is like, it's funny that we still talk about the story because it crosses over into what we're doing now with Project Aurora.
Right.
But that first cherry bat was like, because when we started, we were only doing natural or black. I feel like we got to do something different. And that first cherry bat was so fire.
It hit so, you know what it was? The maple was so pristine white on it. And then that cherry mixture that marked it was like a dark, I wouldn't call it mahogany. It was a dark cherry. Like
It didn't. I remember you guys giving it to me, and I almost didn't want to hit with it because it didn't look like a bat. You know, like it looked like a piece of furniture. It looked like a little piece of art with that gold logo on it and the cherry
TV
handle.
logo.
Yeah,
The
the
TB.
throwback TB logo. Yeah.
yeah.
I remember asking you guys, I don't even think I knew that you guys didn't make colors or spray different colors at that time. I just remember asking you guys, and now that you say that, it's funny because you guys didn't even hesitate. You were like, yeah, we can make that.
Yo,
No
we made
problem.
that so many times.
You know? like yeah. Oh, you want a cherry handle? No problem. No idea that it was the first bat that was ever colored, you know?
I
Like,
don't know how I'm going to figure this out. But
That's like the basis on what Tater has been since we started. Is like, we'll figure it out. Can't be that hard.
dude, that's-
We'll put in the work.
that's what's made me such a big fan of the brand, and what got me tied into you guys so strong is like, you guys take that for the players, buy players for the players,
Yeah.
so literally. Cause like that story, like how many people can say that? You know, like how many people can say that I requested something from a company that I had no idea if they were even capable of doing, which you guys weren't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And me, who's a nobody, I'm in college. You guys are like, oh yeah, we got it. Don't worry, we'll figure. And you just figure it out, and you got it to me exactly how I wanted it, better than what I could have even imagined it to be. You
That
know,
was fire.
it was, it really was. And I wish it would have never broke.
You know what's ironic is that Julian's bat was the first bat I painted in my backyard.
Oh no way,
Yeah.
really?
We're talking about a story, right? I can't remember what episode we're talking about, but I literally hung up the bat with like a hook onto the netting of the batting cage.
You know how the batting cage has
In the
has
backyard?
the wires that go towards the trees?
Yeah.
We're hanging rope off that with the hook to hold the bats, and we were spraying.
We're spraying spray paint.
Man.
I had this like old green spray paint from in my garage somewhere, and we're spraying it. And I was like, "This is the ugliest bat I've ever seen." And then when your brother got it, he was like, "Yo, I love this."
Drew, we're
And
sorry.
And then I literally like the next day he hit me up and he was like, "Bro, I hit 2 bombs yesterday with that bat. I'm never gonna let it go."
I'm never
I was like,
letting
"Thank
it go."
God."
That's
Oh,
awesome,
man.
dude. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that, like, all, like you said, like all these little stories, like,
Dude, there's so many.
nobody would ever think of the sacrifices that you guys made as a company, you know, because people kind of look at you guys now and it's like established. It's a thing, you know, it's a brand. Like, no one expects
yeah,
all
it's
these.
Tater.
Yeah, like, no one expects all these little things. Like, it's crazy to think about. And it's awesome, you know, it's awesome to be a part of it. It's a privilege to be part of something like this and be here in this
Yeah.
family for so long, you know, be a part of the Tater gang.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Do you remember the stories where you used to hit me up and be like, "Yo, people were just looking at me like, what's Tater? What's this TB?"
Oh, all the time.
Yeah,
All
they-
the
and
time.
Some people loved it, and some people were like, they looked at you like, well, "What are you doing?"
Well, yeah, well, it was pretty it was pretty easy to separate the people who liked it and the people who didn't, because the people who didn't like it didn't swing it. They looked at it and they were
Right.
like, "Oh, I don't know what that brand is," and they never picked it up. All the people who ended up falling in love with it are like, "What is this?" You know, they were intrigued by it. I'm like, "Go ahead, swing it." They take around the BP and they're like, "Dude, this is a hard bat. Like, this is a nice bat."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I know some people. If you want a bat, you know, we can get in touch with some people." But that was definitely, I mean, that occurred so much through college, all my summer ball teams that I played on, all these guys from other parts of the state playing from different schools, even in pro ball. I mean, pro ball especially, you know, I remember my clubby didn't even want to let me hit with your bats. He
Right.
somehow found them and he was like, "You can't hit with these. I don't know what these are." And it's like, well, even if you don't know what these are, I'm gonna hit with them.
That's what I
You know,
use.
like, this is my bat. I'm
We
not
were on-
not
we
taking
were
another one.
We weren't certified at the time, but we were making MLB grade bats for sure.
Oh, definitely making MLB grade bats.
Remember the
that's for
guy
sure.
that you had like a cracked BP bat at the barrel,
Oh my goodness!
and he loved the bat so much he still hit with it in game.
It was actually a cherry bat, like we talked about. That kind of like ended up being like my favorite like signature color. I remember when I didn't know what to order from you guys. I just cherry, handle, barrel, whole bat, whatever you want. Just give me something cherry. But yeah, I don't remember if it was something happened in the process, because I think this is when your bats were still being kept in your garage, you know, and it was like a winter day and
Yeah.
something ended up where the wood ended up cracking. I remember you guys giving it to me and you were like, "Yo, I'm sorry about it. Like, just take it, you know, whatever." And you guys,
Use it for practice.
yeah,
whatever.
use it for practice. You made me another bat. And this bat, I mean, I'm going to say 4-5 years of batting practice, live games,
Machine work.
home runs in games, like 95 plus machine work, like never broke. I mean, one of my buddies when I played in Joliet, Hoopy, who still buys bags from you.
Hoopy, yeah, that guy.
Hoopy, if you're listening to this, Hoopy, I love you and I miss you. But I mean, I remember giving him the bat and not telling him it was broken. And he got up there and hit a home run. And like, I think it was like the third pitch of the at bat. And Hoopy's
Hype, huh?
Hoopy's from Hawaii, dude, high energy guy. He comes back in the dugout. He's like, "Yeah, brother."
I love it.
And I'm like, "Hoopy, you know that bat's broken?" He's like, no way." Dude picks up the bat and I show him the crack running all the way down the bat. And he used that bat. He actually was the one who broke that bat.
Oh,
He used that bat all season. He probably made it 30, 40 games,
Still
every
remember
at bat
Hoopy.
with that bat
What a broken
before it
bat,
broke.
love it.
And he didn't even break it on bad contact. It actually just broke because it was time. He got
It
a
was
hit.
time. It
He
was
got
time.
he hit a line drive. I remember. He hit a line drive over the shortstop into left center
baseball
field.
gods were like,
and the
"Yo,
bat
this is
broke.
it. This is it for this bat." That's
I
it.
mean, it was
bat is just too
unbelievable.
good.
Yeah, I literally just kind of like speaks to the quality. The fact that you can give me a bat that has a crack in it and it would last me more than 5 years, like, or 4 or 5 years
phenomenon.
swinging. Like, it was crazy. Honestly, I used this so much. As a matter of fact, there's a video on my Instagram that I'm swinging that bat, and you could hear the people in the background because I told them it was broken. They're like, "There's no way that bat's broken," because I'm just in there hitting shots left and right and smashing line drives. They're like, "That bat's not broken." I'm like, "Yeah, it is. There's about a foot long crack in the bat, you know?" It was crazy.
That's crazy. You know, it makes me think of like how lucky we were to have someone like you able to use all the stuff. Because for those who don't know, Southern New Hampshire, where Manny played at for 3 years in college ball, is all wood, Northeast 10 Conference. So he was able to use them in games. Then when he got signed by the Reds, use them at the Reds, and then kept using them throughout his pro career between Empire League, Evansville, Juliet, winning a championship. But with all that being said, you know, you've played so much baseball, you've coached. What's your favorite baseball experience? I know it's hard to like pinpoint one, but like when you think about everything that you went through from when you were a kid to now, like what do you think about like this was my happiest moment playing?
Well, it's funny that you say it that way, the happiest moment playing, because I think my favorite moment in baseball had nothing to do with playing. It was definitely hearing my name called in the draft when I was in high school. I mean, it was late in the draft. I'm pretty sure it was the 41st round or something like that, one of the last rounds, you know. And I remember I watched it day one, watching the draft day two, and I'm like, all right, this isn't gonna happen. Like they're not gonna call me, and I didn't. I didn't even pay attention to it, but we had it up on the laptop and it was playing in the background. And they actually messed up in the draft. They said someone else's name, and then they said from Woolkit, Connecticut. And I was like, someone else from Woolkit, Connecticut? Like just got
I don't know
drafted?
about them.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck is going on? And then the next pick was the Cincinnati Reds, and they said my name. And that's my favorite moment to me because that was kind of like a defining moment, you know? Like we were talking about earlier, everything we worked for, you know, me and my dad had given ourselves that goal of every year having a different achievement, being an all-state player, being an all-city player, being an all-American player. Why not? Let's shoot for the draft. Let's see if we can do it. It was kind of just like it brung it full circle, you know, like it's like, all right, there it is.
Yeah.
Like no one can ever take that from me. You know, I put that work in with my family and with my dad as a trainer and with my brother and with the support from everyone behind me, that when they called my name, it was like, wow, you know, like this is actually attainable. You know, no matter where you're from, no matter where you've been, no matter if you're from a no-name school or a big-time school, it really doesn't matter.
Put in the work,
you
you
know?
could do it.
You put in the work, and that's one of the beautiful things about baseball. You know, it's not like all these other sports where you have to be a big-time Division I athlete or you have to be this 6'9" monster phenomenon of a human being. You know, baseball, if you're good, it's gonna find you. You know, and if you put that work in and you put out those numbers, it'll find you. But that was definitely my favorite moment. Seeing the way my family reacted, you know, it was
Hyped.
yeah, it was like a relief off of my shoulders.
Party at the Cruz house.
Yeah. It's a relief off of my shoulders because I put so much pressure on myself. But then, like, you know, just walking into the house and seeing my father, seeing my brother, seeing my mother, it was like, you know, it was like you said, it was just literally a party.
Yeah.
You know, I've never collectively seen my family so happy at one moment. Like, and it was awesome because it almost felt like we all worked up to that point, you know, because you had so many people before you that played and how far they made it. And literally every generation has made it a little bit farther in our family who's played baseball. So to see it go all the way to that level was kind of like the icing on the cake.
I'm glad you bring that up because I still remember those conversations with Pops in the basement where like Manny, and he would say for both of us, is like, we got to be so good it's undeniable, right? You can't let anybody say that you're not going to make it, you're not whatever. You hit 300 plus for your batting average, you hit the, you know, most doubles, whatever it may be. Just be so good that nobody can take it away from you because at the end of the day, numbers don't lie. And you know what's crazy? While I was literally just thinking about the year of the fact that we changed our logo from TB to Tater with the opal, because I still remember I'm in the living room basement, and I'm like, oh, Manny's got his first stream game. I'm gonna watch it. And mind you, I don't watch baseball. And I was watching Manny, and I'm like, is he using the bat? Is he using the bat? Oh, it's a cherry handle. It's the bat. And then I'm like, I can't see the logo. And then it was like, you were the reason. After I saw that, I'm like, yo, we got to change the Tater logo. This is not it. It has to be bigger and easier to see.
The funnier part about that, too, I wouldn't say funnier part about it, you guys are playing Stonehill.
Yeah.
You guys are playing Stonehill and Nesson. That's what...
And honestly, I think if it wasn't the next day, it was very soon after that. Because I mean, like you always did, you called me to like congratulate me or whatever because the game was on TV. And that was one of the first things you brought up to me. I remember you saying that. You were like, I'm thinking about changing my logo. I was like, why? Why would you ever change your logo? You know,
I love it.
I love the home plate with the T and the B in it.
Fire.
And then you brought that up. And I was like, well, I mean, it's your business. And from a business standpoint, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't see the logo on TV, nobody's gonna know what it is. You know, but that was, yeah, I remember that. I actually had a good day. I think I let off with a triple that day.
You did. I was juiced up. I was jumping up and down.
I remember that. That was awesome. That was
That's
so cool.
hilarious. Well, we got an open forum, so I don't know if you want, if you want to give maybe some, the listeners, whether it be a high school, college, pro guy, somebody that might be going through it. It might not even be a baseball person because we have a lot of people who are just, day to day or looking to achieve something in life. What would you tell someone from all your experience? Like, what's the kind of like the defining thing? Like one piece of advice you can give somebody that might be going through it right now, just trying to achieve.
Well, I mean, it was great that you brought up those conversations in your basement late night and my father talking about becoming undeniable, because no matter who you are, always at some point in your life, someone's going to try to put you in a box. They're going to try to contain you. They're going to try to give you limits, and like you said, it could be relatable to anything, but more commonly for me was baseball. I'm playing a sport. A lot of big guys play the game of baseball, and I'm not a big guy. I'm not tall, not muscular. I'm a small guy. I had to get it how I can get it on the baseball field. But becoming undeniable was was something that played in my head every single day. Because no matter what you do, it comes to a point where you can get so good at something, or you can become so elite at your craft where you are undeniable, where it doesn't matter your height, your weight, your skin color, your background. If you are undeniable, if you are that good at your craft, if you are that good at what you do, no one can tell you you're not. And no one can try to spin it or play it in a different way, So, that would be my advice. If you're struggling, or if you're thinking about your next move or how to move on in life or how to take that next step in your sport, in your job, and anything, it's to become undeniable. Take the craft, take whatever you love and do it until you're so good at it that nobody can tell you that you're not good at it,
Man,
Some good words.
I'm tearing up right now. we might have to stop the podcast.
Somebody got tissues.
No, but it's true, man, because we relate to that heavily. Like Freddie said, when we're all in the basement, and we'd always have those conversations. For those who don't know my pops is a big reason on why Tater is successful along with my mom. But Pops has really instilled, I would say, the mission statement that Tater goes by, right? So becoming undeniable, what you just said is what we live by too. So it resonates a lot. That's why I was getting chills when you were saying it, because when you're undeniable, you can do anything. It's like you have that confidence level that nothing is in your way. Like you're just going to, someone throws a big barrier right in front of you, you're just going to jump over it. Yeah. I know you had to deal with that too when you're playing, man.
Yeah, and that's something that like I said made me, and obviously now as you guys can see, so many other baseball players gravitate towards you guys, because it was awesome to see. Forget about the fact that we're from the same place, you know, I'm from the same area, and doing something that in our area no one does, especially you guys. You guys is more rare what you do than what I did coming from our area, but it made me gravitate to you guys so much because every day I step on that field, I have that competitive edge. I was always trying to be better than the guy next to me. I was always trying to make sure that in between those lines, I was the best player. And you guys had that same mentality. You guys were, even though you were a new company, you guys didn't even spray bats different colors, Yep. And you guys didn't care. You guys were trying to be that best bat company. You were trying to provide players with the best quality, and that's what kind of made me gravitate towards you guys. And just like all these other players that you guys are starting to see come to you guys, you guys are undeniable, regardless of the name, regardless of who you are or where you're from. If it's good, it's good. And that's one of the things that pulled us together for sure, to see that a company who crafts the materials that I used in my everyday life have the same competitive edge and the same drive that I had when I was out there competing. It's just an attraction, and it was something that made our relationship so easy and so obvious,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we both, when I say we both, I'm talking about everybody at Tater, kind of live the same. We were going through this, and when I was trying to preface earlier, was we did the same thing you were going through. Like, you just made your first breakthrough to play pro ball, You're not the $5 million contract player, and we're not the $5 million startup company either. So we had to show people like, oh, we're here and we're here to ball out. And at the end of the day, numbers don't lie. And whether, and baseball is a beautiful sport because as a hitter, it's not like you're playing basketball where it's 5-on-5. And you're playing baseball as 1-on-1. You just got to show the guy, show out and say, I'm better than the guy that's pitching against me. Right? It's a 1-on-1. You can't hide at the plate. So to be able to go up there and lead off or hit a double or hit a triple, and people literally can't say anything to you. He's like, this kid cannot stop hitting. Like he just always hits líneas. Dr. Linea.
Dr. Linea.
But
oh man. No,
Yeah.
that's so true. I mean, that was one of the things too that my father always used to tell me. Playing in high school, especially, baseball is a sport, like you said, it's 100% a team sport, and anyone who's ever played the game and knows the game knows that. But it's very, very, very individual, and I mean, I hope it doesn't sound bad, but when we'd sit down and talk, my father would tell me, it's like, listen, you guys can lose a game, you can lose by 9. But when they pick up that paper the next day and they see that your school lost by 9, but Manny Cruz went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs, that's undeniable.
That's undeniable, right?
They can't take that from you, And that's part of the thing. That's part of the whole saying, become undeniable, like we were talking about earlier. And that's another part of the beauty of baseball. I was going to say basketball, but that's part of the beauty of baseball. It's a team sport, but if you're individually handling what you have to handle and doing what you have to do, no one can take that from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is a good spot to leave it at. What do you guys think? Is there something you guys want to share with the Tater community?
We're going back to when you were talking about the day, and I know we're getting close to the end, but the day that you got drafted and how it felt like a big win and how the family was hype, it just reminds me of all those things, those times that collectively as a whole, we felt the same way. It was
Those
like
little wins, right?
those little wins that at the moment you celebrate with family, you celebrate with everyone who's helped you get to that point. That it just feels awesome, man. It's like, and I'm glad we get to experience things like that with everyone because it's truly unique. Because like we've said in previous episodes, it's like you want to go somewhere, you go with a group of people. You go with a group of people that will help you. If you want to go fast, you do it solo, but you want to do longevity, you have people behind your back. And obviously family is first always.
Community, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely. I mean, it was also it was comforting to see. It was kind of cool to see too that like you said, small wins. I feel like I'd call you guys every time I had a small victory, and then like
You're celebrating a whole week, man.
yeah, and then a week later, like you would call us and be like, "Yo, guess what? We got our first big league player. Like we got first this and first that." And I'm like, "Dude, this is awesome." Like
We got into MLB The Show.
Yeah, we got into MLB The Show. Like
Yep.
it was always cool to see that like that as I was working, the people who were behind me and supporting me in my career were getting their own small victories, or their own big victories. And it was just moving along together, like you guys said, it's a community. One hand washes the other.
Yeah.
I made it as far as I can make it with you guys behind me. And you guys made it as far, or still making it as far as you're going to go with me behind you and so many other people who are joining. It's honestly amazing to watch.
Yeah. But I think that's a good note to wrap things up on. I just wanted to say a big shout out to the team from Axum Creative for helping us out with this podcast. The reception has been great. I'm glad everyone's been liking the episodes. We love doing the content, but without these guys, we wouldn't be able to make it possible. So shout out to them.
And make sure if you got something from this, you enjoyed it, you learned, it inspired you, share it to somebody else that will need that same inspiration. I think knowledge is power, and the more we can help each other out and grow this community, the better.